Hi, this is Wenzes. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about personal development for INFJs. In this video, I want to talk to you about avoiding the INFJ door slam. If you don't know what the INFJ door slam is, you can watch a bunch of videos. I think there are a lot of them out there, which explains why we do it, what it is. Just in one word or in one sentence, it's pretty much that we always let other people run over us, or we sacrifice so much and at some point we just completely push them out of our life. So what I think most of us do not really talk about, or even if that is a topic, is how uncomfortable it is for us. We always think, yeah, that's what people have to live with then. It hurts others, it's so uncomfortable, it's like, you know, something that happens because we've given so much and then we realize, oh, the person isn't who we wanted them to be, or how great they wanted, like how great we wanted them to be, so therefore we have to push them out. Not realizing that we're actually in control of, you know, like getting it to that point. We are the reason we have to door slam somebody. It's not the other person's fault. It's yours, it's mine, it's ours, right? The one who does the INFJ door slam is the one who's responsible for getting to that point. And it's not so much about like leaving early, it's about holding that other person accountable throughout the entire thing. I think one of our greatest challenges is to really be in control of our own life. As much as we can, right? So I think we have this tendency, if we're completely relaxed, that we let our environment rule us. We let our environment tell us like how to feel, where to go, how everything is happening. So if you're just like in a completely relaxed state, this is what happens. You feel that other person is pretty much determining how you feel. So that's why we want to have people around us who make us feel good, so we don't have to be like tight and stressed all the time to create that feeling. But in order to get there, we have to hold people accountable throughout the process of getting to know us, throughout the process of our entire relationship in a way, right? I always talk about boundaries and how important it is to tell people you just crossed mine, and not to just keep it in, and then at some time you boil over. Like, let's say you have an employee, right? And you want them to do good work, and you let them do one thing for you and it's okay. And you say, oh, it's fine, great, you did awesome. But in the back of your mind, you think, oh, I have to redo it. But I want to be nice, you know, I want that other person to feel good because I want to motivate them. And then they do the second time the same thing. And you still think, oh yeah, great, thank you, you're doing such progress. But you think to yourself, I could do it so much better. And yeah, like, is this really what you spent your time on? Did you really need 4 hours for this? And like the list goes on. And you have it with family, you have it with friends, and it always gets to that point that we think we want that other person to act the way we want them to act without us telling them how we want them to act. So we are responsible that we're getting to a point where we need to INFJ door slam them. It's your fault, it's my fault, it's the fault of everybody who does it. And I was in, you know, I wasn't really in a relationship, but I was seeing somebody for a while and I wasn't getting out of it what I wanted and what I needed. And I didn't really make it a point. Like, I didn't set my boundaries harshly enough. I didn't really say, you know, like, I will not do this, or not just say it, but also like really live it. You know, I said like, I don't like this. I don't want to keep on going like this. I need more attention. I want this, I want this, I want this. But in the end, I still stayed. You know, that was in the time while I was still working. I was in a place of my life where I was just pretty much just waiting it out. Like, sometimes we just need that time in order to rest. So I wasn't really making any decisions. And then it got to a point where I just needed to INFJ door slam that person because they were not giving me what I needed. It wasn't the right direction for my future. And of course that person got very upset, and it was very uncomfortable for me too. And then I realized once again that it's my fault. Like, you have to be accountable to what you're doing, but you also have to keep other people accountable for what they're doing throughout your relationship, whatever it is, friendship, your family. You cannot keep on going and always letting people go through with something and then get upset that like you didn't know and you were hurting me the entire time, so now move on, right? It's your fault, it's my fault, it's the fault of everybody who does it. I know it's difficult, but in the end it's like so much better, right? It's like It's difficult in the beginning, you know, it's like good habits. They're hard to form but easy to live with, and bad habits are really easy to form but very hard to live with. And that's one of those habits we should change because there's so much opportunity in that. So let's say we take that example that was with an employee. You know, why don't I tell that person, listen, like good for the first time, like great, okay, I'm glad you're putting effort into it, but for me to be satisfied, I need you to really make sure that you do it a little better. And I want you to do it better in this, and this way. And this is also with friends like this. Like, this takes time. Like, there's an effort behind it. It's much easier to say, yeah, great, and then you do it on your own and make it better, right? If you're with a friend and you want him to be a better friend to you, it's much easier to say, great, and I want to push you up, and you know, you're so awesome, and you're my best friend, and you bring so much value to my life, than to say, thank you for trying, like I really see it, but like that's not enough, I need you to do this, and to really hold people accountable for it. Because once you do, and there are two choices, either those people change or they leave. Like, those are the two things, but you will never ever get into a situation of an INFJ door slam because you will never let it get so uncomfortable for you. And once it's never uncomfortable for you, then it will never be as uncomfortable for the other person once you do it. And you know, the INFJ door slam is a horrible feeling for the one doing it. It's not just the one you push out. Like the times I really INFJ door slam people were the hardest. They were like the things that really made me completely change my life because of the pain I was experiencing in that moment. So these things keep on happening over and over again because we're not willing to take the time to work on that relationship how it is right now. We just hope for it to get better. We hope for the other person to understand what we expect. But how is that other person supposed to know? How is it supposed to happen? Like, I always like to tell my story with my father in this regard, because I did have a very conflicted relationship with him for like probably the first 25 years of my life. And it was till the end, it was really, really difficult because I never pushed back. I never really stood up for myself. I never really told him how much I dislike what he's doing to me. You know, let me rephrase that. He wasn't doing anything to me. How much the situation affected me and how much the situation was not comfortable for me. My dad knows me my whole life, and still he will not know what is good for me unless I tell him. And I always like to say, you know, you can either say, you know, you can have practical things, how I said with the employee, that you said, yes, I want you to do this, but I want you to do it more precisely. I want you to really make sure that you understand what is important to me and so on. And like, that's the one part. But the other part is just really emotionally show people like you can't do that. If you have friends who if you have friends who keep standing you up, is that like the right impression? So you go like to a coffee and they don't show up. It's on us to make them understand, you suck for doing this. Like, I really don't like you right now. This didn't make me feel good, and don't do it again, right? Because I'm gonna get upset. Because most of the time you say, yeah, no problem, no problem. Like, I even say that like one time, I really mean it. But the second time, it's like, all right, okay. Like, I'm not gonna be so euphoric of, oh, great, no problem. But like, I make people understand emotionally and subconsciously that this is crossing a boundary for me. And they like subconsciously remember that it crossed a boundary, and they won't do it again because it feels uncomfortable to them. Like, I make them feel how I feel at that moment. So that's how it worked with my father. Now I have an amazing relationship with my father. It gets better and better. I still have situations where I feel like, oh, he doesn't really get me. He doesn't understand what I'm doing here. And like, I still have to make him aware of like, what he's really doing at that moment. Like last week, he had this notion of, you know, it's like, how much are you growing? How many clients do you have? Is it really growing enough? And it was in a way of, you know, it's really hard. And this is not, you know, like, if you make it, that will be a miracle. And like, he was doing things that weren't motivating me. Like in the beginning, it even bothered me because I did have some doubt how fast I would grow if I was able to pull it off in a way that it wouldn't have any financial implications for me. And now it's gotten to a point where I'm really confident about it. It's all good. I made it a point when I talked to him to tell him, listen, like, first off, I know what I'm doing, so don't talk to me about this. Like, I do not need your negativity in that moment, right? Like, that's something you don't want. And second of all, what does it help me to listen to if it's that it's not growing fast enough, in your opinion? What does it help me? And once I said that, he realized, okay, yeah, that's true, nothing. It doesn't help you at all. And once I told him, listen, I have those goals and this is what I'm going for. So, like, you know, take it. You know, I don't need your opinion on this. It was one more thing he understood about me that he hadn't understood so far. Like, I was even surprised. I thought, does my father not know me that well? But how is he supposed to know? Like, I talk to my dad. I Skype with him once a week. He doesn't live here. You know, like, whatever it is, I grow so much. A lot of people don't know what is so obvious to you. And this is what happens with the INFJ door slam altogether. We always feel, don't these people know that this is like a common decency thing that I would expect them to do? Don't they know that this is not right? They don't, because it's not common decency. Whatever you think is common decency is your interpretation of common decency. It's not a universal thing that you want other people to understand, because otherwise they wouldn't be doing it, right? Like, that's how simple as it is. So now every time something like this comes up and it makes me feel uncomfortable, I make sure to address it. I make sure to say, we got to change this in order for our relationship to move forward. And it always has. And there will be people who will not accept it. So like the guy that I was telling you that I was seeing for a while, for him it didn't work. It wasn't his cup of tea, but I should have just ended it earlier. I should have realized, okay, we're not going in the right direction, we're not going in the same pace, so let's just go our separate ways. But I didn't really express it enough, and I didn't stick to my boundaries enough. So that's why I want you to understand, INFJ door slam, it's your responsibility. You're the reason why it's happening. It's not the other person's fault for pushing you so far, and you're doing everything and you're helping so much and the other person doesn't appreciate it. It's on us to, from the beginning, make sure that we guide this relationship into a way that feels comfortable for us, where we can be authentic, we can be ourselves. And that also means going into conflict. Realizing that we need conflict in order to create a more authentic relationship. And so it will never ever get to an INFJ door slam situation. As I said, good habits are hard to form and easy to live with. Bad habits are really easy to form and difficult to live with. So let's do the first one. From the beginning, we start, have it a challenge, have it something that you say, I'm gonna do for the next week, and see how your relationships will change. Okay, so that's it on the topic. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification. Thank you so much. I wish you a great day, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.